Good evening. Time is 6 o'clock. We will call this special RSU 63 Board of Directors meeting to order. If everybody could please rise and join with me in the salute of our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if we could take a moment to remember something or someone that is special or important to us. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, there's some feedback up here. We're trying to work through. Maybe it's the volume. A little bit better. Okay, we'll move on to the first item on our agenda, which is public comment. Thank you for your interest in speaking to the RSU 63 School Board. During public comment, any individual is welcome to discuss their views on any educational item on or off the agenda. All wishing to speak during questions and comments from the public will be asked to sign up on the form by the door and seek recognition from the chair when it is time for public questions and or comments. Speakers must state their name and address. Please limit yourself to 3 minutes. I will be having our vice chair time that. The board will hear but not discuss or act on any matters not already on the agenda. However, we will receive comments for considerations. No complaints or allegations will be allowed at board meetings concerning any person employed by the school system or against particular students. Personnel matters or complaints concerning student or staff issues will not be considered in public meeting, but will be referred as established through appropriate policies and procedures. Thank you. First up, we have Brenda DeRoche, 70 Davis Road in Eddington. DeRoche, excuse me.
Not a problem. Just don't call me late for supper. Life is good. My first thought and question is, I'm going to keep emotions out of it because that could get big, but if we go down to 2 schools and we outgrow those 2 schools, what do we do? I know that there's a talk of extra land at Holden, so there's obviously a thought that's already there. Back in 2011, we opted or looked into the community school, and it was way too much for us to afford. If we close down and we become crowded again, we're not going to have a choice. We can't say, well, no, it's too expensive. By then, I'm going to be retired. I'm a community member, fixed income. My taxes are going to go up because I have to pay now for a school that we already once voted down. Are the repairs to the Eddington and Holden School to bring them both up and have plenty of room equal to what it would be to add on to another school? And if that's the case, why do we not get both buildings up? And in the future, when hopefully we become the school district that people are moving to again, and our population increases, that we have that room. That concerns me. I do want to also clarify, or my understanding is that if Eddington is closed, there isn't going to be tax savings. My tax bill is not going to go down because we need to improve Holden School, and we're going to need to be putting money into making it better. So closing the school, does that mean, oh, my tax bill is going to go down? A lot of people think that, and I think we need to be clear that that isn't the case, unless I'm completely wrong. My other questions or thoughts are, I can see how pre-K through 2nd grade can go to Eddington, and we can make it work for now, and we could probably make it with 3. I currently have 19 kids. I know that the ratio and what the public here is, it's 10 to 1. That's because we're doing art, music, phys ed, Spanish, reading recovery. We're putting all those teachers into that mesh and dividing it out that way. 1 year in my 37 years of teaching here have I had 10 kids, and that was last year. Never had it been before, and it is not looking in the future. We have a waiting list in the current pre-K and the groups that are coming in, and we have to take in those 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds who have IEPs. We're getting a large group of children coming through. They were conceived during COVID shutdown. I think if we shut down now without seeing how this is all going to work, I'll be honest, Eddington has always, and Clifton, have felt like we were the lesser. You take our school away, we're just absorbed into Holden, and we don't have our identity anymore, and that hurts. We still have the thing that we're hearing that, wait, maybe people are, Holden's going to pull out and go to Brewer. Well, if we shut down Eddington, Holden goes to Brewer, where are we set? There's just so many things out there. I was on the ACE committee. I see both buildings need great amount of work, but I hope we're thinking to the future. And are we, my time? Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Next, we have Susan Shane, 267 Hat Case in Eddington.
Good evening, Board. First, I want to thank the ACE panel for their work, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Normally, I would tell you about doubts I have regarding accuracy of numbers or ask for confirmation. You all need, you all nod politely and move on. This evening, I'm here to say that I am sad. This district has been through 2 long years of unrest and dysfunction. It has always been a delicate balance to have all 3 towns feel equally important. Now, there is no balance. Each town is upset. Many adults attended the Eddington School. To think of it not being used anymore can be too much to bear. What will happen to Eagle pride and traditions? Would all our future students just be Panthers or Devils? I can hear Don Spencer shouting into the microphone at Eddington each time a new person became caretaker of the Eaglet. Times change, but we must come together. And I know that you all came determined to take a vote to close the Eddington School. You only need a 2/3 majority. If it is in your heart that you feel you want to vote another way, you should not be afraid to do it. We must come together. We are the adults, and the children are watching us. So I ask each board member to please vote with your heart, and do remember that the only reason Eddington is so hideously expensive is because they theoretically need $1 million to fix the boiler. There are other things, but I just want you to realize, as a board, this district is deeply troubled, and we are 3 towns that have always worked together. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Susan. At this time, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the vote entitled Vote to Approve Closure of Eddington Elementary School be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of this vote be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
I have a motion by Amy Hart. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Julianta. I'll open at this time up for discussion.
I would just like to clarify, this vote this evening does not actually close the building. It sets the ball moving so that the state can come in and do their review and determine whether they feel that the building should be closed. And then at that point, sends the actual vote to the taxpayers in each of the communities to decide whether or not this building closes.
That is correct.
I would like to begin by acknowledging that I was originally opposed to the idea of consolidating and closing a school. Like many in this community, I value the identity and history each school represents. But after taking the time to truly dig into the data, review the detailed work of the ACE committee in which I was a part of, and listen carefully to the experiences shared by our teachers at the town hall and in their surveys, it became clear to me that this is no longer a question of what we want, it is a question of what is necessary. Having grown up in this district, this decision is deeply personal to me. My husband and I chose to raise our family here because of the value we place on this community and its schools. Now as a parent, I want my son and every child in this district to have access to the strongest educational experience we can provide. That is why this decision carries so much weight. It's not about buildings or towns, it is about strengthening the educational experience. It allows our staff to be present, accessible, and supported. It allows students to receive more consistent services. It allows us to operate as a cohesive district rather than 3 separate, underutilized buildings. First and foremost, safety must be our top priority. Holden School is located directly next to both fire and police services, allowing for the fastest possible emergency response. In situations where minutes matter, proximity is not just a convenience, it is a critical advantage and can make all the difference. Right now, we are trying to operate 3 buildings with fewer students and less funding from the state due to decreased enrollment. To be specific, the state is giving our district $500,000 less for this upcoming year. That means our resources, our teachers, our staff, our time, and our money are stretched thinner than they should be. This impact is real. Our educators are doing everything they can, but they are being asked to do it across multiple buildings with limited time to collaborate and limited access to one another. That is not a system that sets them or our students up for success. Consolidating to 2 schools changes that. It brings our staff back together. It increases availability and support for students. It allows us to function as a unified district instead of 3 separate, underutilized buildings. This is not just about efficiency, it is about giving our children the quality of education they deserve and staff the resources they so desperately need. From a facility standpoint, Holden School is better positioned to accommodate consolidation. It is the largest of the schools and allows for a dedicated classroom for both art and music. Holden also has the largest land area as it sits, and additionally has the advantage of much of the surrounding land being town-owned. The town has already expressed a willingness to donate additional acreage to support play areas for the younger grade levels. In contrast, Eddington School has limited space. It would lack dedicated classrooms for art and music, which would require these be taught via a mobile cart. Eddington is also surrounded by privately owned land, restricting opportunities for expansion on top of their already smaller land footprint. Then there is the financial reality, one we cannot ignore. Both schools require major investments, including boiler and septic system upgrades. The estimated cost for Eddington's boiler alone is approaching $1 million, more than double that of Holden, and that does not include engineering expenses. In addition, Eddington does not currently have a generator, which would require an additional investment of over $50,000. Again, I will mention state funding is decreasing due to declining enrollment, a trend that is expected to continue as this is happening statewide. Our district is not alone. This means more of these costs will fall directly on the local taxpayers, you and me. So the question becomes, how do we responsibly manage limited resources while still providing the best possible education for our students, which is my main priority, and I assume it's most people's. So the question becomes, how do we responsibly manage limited resources while still providing the best possible education for our students? When the data shows that all students can be safely accommodated in 2 schools, that staff support would improve, and that we can avoid significantly higher capital costs, the answer becomes clear. This decision is not one that myself or anyone sitting up here takes lightly. It is not one that comes without emotion. Closing a school means letting go of a piece of our community's history. But this is not about choosing one town over another. It's not about which school we are most attached to. This is about our responsibility to our district's future. We must ensure that we are making decisions today that will allow our district to remain strong, stable, and capable of serving our students for years to come. Doing nothing or delaying this decision does not preserve our schools. It weakens them. It continues to stretch our staff too thin. It continues to place increasing financial pressure on the taxpayers. And it risks putting us in a position where future decisions become even more difficult with fewer options available. This is the moment that we have to act thoughtfully, responsibly, and with a focus on coming together for the future of our district and our students. As difficult as it is, for these reasons and many others, I believe closing Eddington is the most responsible decision we can make to protect the quality of education for our students, to better support our staff, and to ensure the long-term financial stability of our RSU 63 school districts.
Thank you, Juliana. Is there other discussion? Chip?
Yeah. First, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and for those of you that stood up. And certainly appreciate your opinions, and you know, I know we all have concerns. It's all heard. I personally am in support of closing Eddington School and consolidating into 2 schools. My decision is grounded in the facts and findings of the ACE Committee. The ACE Committee was comprised of a wide and equal cross-section of volunteers across our district. The group was tasked with reviewing various aspects of overall efficiency, including potential consolidation. After reviewing every subcommittee report and recommendation, the data is clear and consistent. Eddington faces significantly higher near-term capital costs than Holden. Holden offers the shortest police and fire response times in the district, greater classroom capacity, outdoor recreation facilities, and the ability to expand using the adjacent town-owned land. Fixed annual cost savings would be realized in part through transportation and operational efficiencies. Those studies show annual savings in excess of $250,000 every year. Operationally, this move supports our teachers, who have expressed a lack of ability to collaborate across the 2 elementary schools. It allows our administration team to more easily meet student and teacher needs rather than having to split between 2 elementary schools. Most importantly, these steps do not compromise educational quality. Special education and programming needs remain fully supported. Class sizes would be unchanged, and there is flexibility to add more classes if the needs arose. We are simply removing duplicated fixed costs, which are unnecessary to operate our district. Closing any school is never easy, but the ACE Committee's work points unmistakably in one direction. This is the most responsible, fiscally sound, and student-centered decision we can make for the long-term strength of RSU 63. For those reasons, I will be voting yes.
Thank you, Chip. Further discussion? Amy?
I agree with Juliana and Chip, and I just want to say that no one on this board takes this vote lightly. We do hear your concerns. We read, what you put on social media and the concerns that maybe weren't stated here tonight in the audience, but that have been put out there in the public. Rachel and I both grew up in Ellsworth, and all 3 schools that we attended have either been demolished in the 30 years since we were in K through 12 school, or they've been turned into other things. And it is sad to see your town's elementary school close, but from those closures, new things can start. The elementary school that we went to is now Knowlton Park. It has a water pad, a new playground. It has a skating area in the winter. So it provides a whole new place for the community to gather and new opportunities. There's a new high school, and the old high school has been converted into the, I think, pre-K through 8, and the old middle school that we attended is now, it's a senior center, right? So these things are all good for the community, and things change. If things didn't change, then my kids would have gone to the one-room schoolhouse on Copeland Hill Road that my father-in-law attended. I'm a teacher. I work in an old school. It's almost 100 years old. I think in 1930 is when Orono Middle and High School was built. And at a PD session that we had last week, we listened to Bob Sinclair, who's the president of the Orono Historical Society, and he talked about how when his original elementary school closed, how he cried like a baby. But, you know, things have to change, and we need to be fiscally responsible, and that's really what this board is trying to do, to make a decision that's best for everyone, best for the kids, because when you need to consolidate, we've been talking about this for almost 2 decades, really, and you don't, then the school, which works on a tight budget already, you have to get rid of things like music and sports, uniforms, art programs, teachers. You can't provide competitive salaries. So these are all things that have to be taken into consideration. It's not a vote that's done out of cruelty or selfishness, but out of necessity.
Thank you, Amy. Is there further discussion? Brittany?
Susan, you brought up a good point. The Eddington Eagles and the Holden Panthers. So I was thinking about it, and I believe the griffin is the body of a big cat and the talons of an eagle and the head of an eagle.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe we could consider merging them together. 2 powerful, you know, beings becoming one even more powerful thing. That's all.
Thank you, Brittany. Anyone else? Rachel?
I would just like to thank everybody, first off, for being in attendance tonight. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to those who spoke. And just as a reminder, all of our meetings are public meetings, so you don't have to wait for a special one to attend. So we do invite you all to attend all of our school board meetings where you can get information firsthand instead of reading it off Facebook. As an Eddington resident and somebody who's been on the board for 3 years, I have a 21-year-old daughter who went through school, went through Brewer, or started at Eddington, and when she was in school, Eddington was pre-K through 4, and then now my kids had to adapt to going to Eddington and then Holden and now Holbrook, because I have 2 younger ones that are still going through school as well. You know, so things do change, and there have been some changes in our district to accommodate the shrinking enrollment and to make things easier, so that years ago things didn't have to close completely. I have lived in Eddington 21 years. I don't know if I said that, but this isn't a decision that is made lightly by any of us. I think we all have looked over information. As a board, I think we've talked about this, well, since I've been on the board. That's been 3 years. It's something that's always been brought up. So I don't want anybody to think it is something that's being brought up lightly, or that isn't being, you know, thoughts, feelings aren't being considered. But I do know that if we want to keep resources for the kids and keep the students in the forefront and keep programs available, then in order to be fiscally responsible, then I feel like this is a change that should be made. And ultimately, and as Jamie said, after tonight, then it does go to the state, and then it will be a referendum. The 3 communities will vote on it. I know I heard some people say that that's not going to be the case, but that is how it works. The state says it, and then it will go to a referendum. So it's not just our decision. We're actually giving the power, so to speak, to the people to make that decision.
Thank you, Rachel. Anyone else? I would say to the members of the public that are here, there was a large number that was mentioned of $500,000. That is a publicly available document on the Department of Education's website, and that is true. The 279 came out, and because of the revals within the 3 towns and declining enrollments, there is a shortfall of $512,000 in the upcoming year that the school board and the school district has to figure out in the upcoming budget. Hearing no other discussion. I would ask that the superintendent call a roll call vote. Sheila?
Scott Walton.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Whitney.
No.
Chip.
Yes.
Juliana.
Yes.
Whitney.
No.
The vote is 6-2. It does pass and meets the 2/3 threshold as required. This time I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion from Juliana, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Chip. All those in favor, please raise their hand. That is unanimous. Thank you, everyone.